What's poppin' gamers? As always, Infinite is on the mind. I don't mean to make a video about it every week, but you guys are obviously watching it, and since things have settled down lately, I figured I'd take the opportunity to do a video about some of the things I'd love to see in the coming Halo Infinite. These are in no particular order, and are going to range from damn near expected to being a little bit more out there, but I'd love to hear your opinions on any of these. In case you're getting tired of the Infinite content, don't worry, as I do have some ideas for content coming up here that should come out as long as there's nothing breaking released, so stay tuned for that in the future, and let's roll the intro. If you're here from last week's video, welcome back, and it's great to have you here again. If you're brand new, I hope this video can convince you to subscribe and be part of next week's warm welcome. I upload every Sunday and stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Twitch. If you're interested, you can find relevant links down in the description, as well as to my Twitter, where you'll find any updates about the streams, as well as my rambling when I don't know what else to say. But no more time wasting, it's wishlist time. We already know that Infinite is going to come with a ton of exciting new features, including customization options, a training mode, an extremely in-depth waypoint app that allows us to access all kinds of in-game options, and a never-before-seen in the main game's enemy known as the Banished. All great things that any fan would probably be entirely jazzed about, but there's always more that would be fantastic to see included. One last thing of note is that this video is being made in July of 2021, so there's a chance that some of these might be confirmed in the future, or I could just end up being dead wrong about some of them. In any case, if you have an idea of your own, feel free to share it down below, and we'll get into some discussions. The first thing I've got for you today is an overhaul of how Spartan companies work. They were introduced as a feature of Halo 5 and functioned like a clan or team, sort of like COD Elite back in the day if you can remember that. I think they're a great idea because they make gaming a bit more social, which is something that seems to kind of be dying slowly. Obviously, most of us have friend groups that we like to play with regularly, especially for team-based games, but when was the last time you sent a friend request to a lobby full of strangers after a night of private matches? Maybe it's just me, but gaming feels different these days. Although I fully expect to see Spartan companies make a return in Infinite, I hope that they're a bit more prominent in the gameplay experience by encouraging group play with XP bonuses or maybe even company challenges for kills or wins that offer an extra opportunity at advancement through the ranks. Maybe even a company challenge category like the new weekly PvE and PvP ones we currently get in MCC. At the moment, the companies are pretty loosely integrated in Halo 5, with almost no features accessible in-game, and instead requiring waypoint access. I think as a result, they've somewhat been forgotten, and I'd like to see that reversed with the newest coming installment, because I truly think they're a solid concept for bringing fans together to focus on a set of goals. Just for note, I mentioned that this would be on my list to my brother, and he actually had no idea what Spartan companies were, so that kind of goes to show how dead they are in some aspects. Next up is the Flood. I used to not like the Flood so much. They were harder to kill and weren't as cool as the Covenant when I was younger, but I've really come to appreciate the horror and lore that they bring to the franchise as I've grown older. Their absence has really been felt as I've gone back and replayed all the Halo games to notice that they've been missing from the main titles. No, Halo Wars, you're not a main title, since 2007 with Halo 3. Although they aren't main Halo titles, they're still featured in Halo Wars, however, which does go to show that they are not dead and 343 has them on their radar still. Chances are they will make a return in Infinite with the game's apparent look inward to what excites Halo fans, but I just couldn't go ahead without mentioning them here. Also, one more thing is that we've seen time and time again that Chief doesn't really have a problem killing hordes of Covenant, so it's kind of cool to see him fight a more omnipotent force that gives him more of a challenge in every encounter. If you think about it, Gravemind made Chief punch a hole through Captain Keyes' head, stole his girl, and manipulated him to do his bidding in Halo 2. And there's not a lot of people in universe that can say they've done the same to the Chief. And there's no way in hell that Escharum is going to join that list, so we'll leave that where it is, but do keep all that in mind as we continue with this list. We are flying through this list, so let's slow it down a little bit. Next up is armor color changing. We know that armor coatings will be the new coloring system in Infinite that replace the primary and secondary options that used to be available. Some people aren't fans of the idea, but I actually really like it because free-for-all and custom game modes have for the most part been the only way to show off your personalized colors in multiplayer for the longest time. This kind of leaves most people forgetting that they even exist and pretty much wastes the feature. Red vs. Blue is arguably iconic Halo, but at the same time it's not going to be very high on most people's lists, so based on that I don't think it's a major loss. I know that's a very general statement and people are certainly entitled to their opinions, but I'm just sharing my own thinking here. So if I don't take issue with coatings, why do I want color options? It's pretty simple. It's just going to provide deeper personalization. It's something that 343 keeps talking about, and is also why I think this one is probably an extremely realistic thing to expect eventually. Now you might be thinking that they'd never bring back color options, since it'll make the coatings obsolete. And I think that's true, but check this out. This bad boy's armor coating gives him a black suit with a red arm. The coating on the Spartan determines which parts are black, red, and also the pattern, or I guess in this case, the lack thereof. Now, what if we could change the black and the red without it impacting anything else about the coating? What if we could only change the red part even? I feel like this solution would be a good place to settle, where 343 gets to market coatings and make their income, and players would still be able to express themselves more freely with unique colors that stand out and break from the more limited coating color system that we currently have. The most accurate comparison I can make for this concept is Rocket League's decals, where you have preset patterns to apply on your car with the ability to individualize them with different color options. I don't know if there might be some kind of limits within the slipspace engine that prevents the ability for this to change, but I'd seriously be surprised if that was the case. I personally love this idea, and I think it would be an awesome change that could make a lot of people very happy. Next up, we've got mod support, and specifically an SDK that allows us to access similar tools as what 343 uses for themselves. I know they're becoming available for Halo CE as of now, but I'd specifically love to see the same treatment given to Infinite with its new engine. To help everyone get some context of why this is such an important change, in case they weren't aware, tons of Valve's source games give access to a mapping software called Hammer that lets users make content from scratch with support for scripting, terrain building, importing models, and tons of other creative tools that contribute to the community and even result in completely original game modes like Surf or KZ. Obviously, there will be some limits, at least initially, to how powerful the slipspace tools are, and importing new models might never even officially be supported, but I'm sure creatives will take what they can get. Forge is already an incredible tool that people, especially in but not exclusive to Halo 5, have made some insane maps using, and I'm sure the feature will continue to be improved on. But the ability to work on a computer with in-engine tools can hardly be beat. And yes, I know Halo 5 Forge works in Windows 10, but what I'm talking about is Forge on Roy's. Forge on roids, with extreme fine-tuning capability that allows users to debug or compile for maximum efficiency. I bet that chances are it's just a matter of time before we get to this level with Infinite, whether it's through a massive Forge upgrade or supplied through another tool, but I can't wait for it to happen if it ever does. Next up is vehicle customization. Now, hear me out. I know some people might not like this one, but we have it for armor, so why not introduce it to vehicles as well? MCC has skins already, so let's take it to the next level and add jerry cans or a bash bar or lights to a Warthog. They don't need to be huge changes, but small accents do just as well and add a ton of flavor to the experience that would fit with Infinite's personalization goals. With Big Team Battle 2.0 on the way, we'll likely see pilots or drivers who love to fill those roles when they become available, and cosmetics would be a great way to let them change up their presentation in more ways and with more variation than a skin can provide. I honestly don't know if I'd be surprised to find out that this was included eventually, because it feels like such an obvious addition to the insane level of customization that's already being pushed on armor and AI. There isn't a ton of depth to get into here, so here's just some ideas I had. Changing tints on windscreen to a different color, kind of like the visor options in Halo 3 MCC. Adding decals to selected skins. Picture a falcon with shark teeth, like on some planes, or a checker pattern on the tail, or squadron art somewhere on the stabilizers. I could keep going, but lastly, let's consider something like changing the color of plasma coming from a ghost or a banshee. To be honest, that's not one of my favorites, but I did want to vary these up a bit. My point is that, mainly, it would be awesome to see cosmetic customization expanded further than just on your Spartan. Vehicles are an extension of that experience, and it would be really great to see them get some love and attention in that aspect as well. Number 6 on this list is community playlists, or events that feature maps and modes created by the community to be shown off and enjoyed by players who may have never seen them otherwise. Imagine earning XP for playing quote-unquote custom games instead of needing to grind the more competitive modes as you progress in Infinite. We already see Griffball and Infection in the rotations, which started as community game modes in themselves, so why don't we change it up a bit and get the community's latest creativity into the mix as well. Thanks to the custom games browser in MCC, I've rediscovered a ton of custom modes like Jump Rope and Duck Hunt, which are classics that I'm sure a lot of newer generation players will never have even known about. And if I'm being honest, those modes are some of the most enjoyable Halo experiences that I've ever had. Like I've mentioned in my first point, to me, the social side of gaming is drying up, and I could see something like this bringing a lot of that classic togetherness back into the Halo experience. And that is probably the number one thing that I haven't included on this list, is that I would love to see Halo become a social experience once again. I understand that gaming will change in time and that certain things will just phase out, and currently it does seem like that is the social aspect of gaming. But playing the game that you play is kind of like joining a club. By participating in Halo, it's already obvious that you enjoy the game, so why not spend it together with other people who have the same interests? Bottom line is that I would love to see Halo Infinite become a more social game, and I'm not going to continue working on that point because I'm sure you understand it, but it's a big deal to me and it's just something that I would love. And there you have it, folks, the top things that I would love to see in Halo Infinite. Again, these were in no particular order, and I could really keep on going. It's something that I talk about a lot during my live streams that, just a reminder, are down in the description if you want to check them out. But that's all I've got for you today. Big shout out, as always, to my supporters. There would be no reason for me to do this without you, and I'm so thankful for every single one of you, whether it's views, donations, subscriptions, likes, comments, any of the sort. It really means a ton to me, and I cannot wait to see you here next week. Please do check out my Twitch if you haven't already. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at about 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I play all sorts of games, and I actually have a big plan for what I'll be streaming here in the near future. I just need to figure out a few little tiny details, and I think probably next week I will get started on that. Other than that, this has been Ben, aka Taport. I hope you have a great day. I will see you next week. Peace!